Well, our next honoree, although he hails from Washington, D.C., he's really one of our own, as he was from Cleveland. In fact, there's a couple of people here who went to school with him. He was ordained here, served here, and all of a sudden somebody grabbed him and pulled him into more important endeavors. He's now the 4th Archbishop for the Military Services USA. And he's also currently serving as president of the Conference of Catholic Bishops for the United States of America. In fact, he had so many honors I didn't list hardly any of them. But because he has such a great background, and he conveys that to people that he talks to everywhere, Eleanor Slies, one of his supporters, recommended that he be honored, and Valerie Schwanek and others easily seconded the motion. And we brought him here to pass on some of his knowledge to us. But in doing so, we're giving him the Freedom Award in 2023, the Most Reverend Timothy P. Broglio. Distinguished on this side.
Your Honor, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very grateful for this privilege and receiving this Freedom Award. I'm not exactly sure that I deserve it. I will very willingly recognize my Cleveland roots. I was born and raised here, and I was ordained a priest of the Diocese of Cleveland. But as you know, when you're ordained, one of the things you do is you put your hands in between those of the bishop. You promise obedience and respect. So my superiors decided that I would spend all of my priesthood really outside of the Diocese of Cleveland. I was here for 2 years and then was taken from the Archdiocese, taken from the diocese and sent elsewhere. But now, the moment I have the privilege of serving Catholics in the United States military, in the military academies, in the hospitals of the Department of Veterans Affairs, and then any Catholic who works for the federal government outside of the boundaries of the United States. So it's service to about 1.8 million people. But I think it's wonderful to have an organization that recognizes our national traditions and our national origins, and to recognize that it is together that all of those traditions and all of those origins have made possible the nation that we know today. We are all descendants of men and women who used their gifts and talents to build up the country that we have today, and that also makes it incumbent upon us, as has been said already here, to continue that great work. And I was reminded when Senator Dolan was talking about the fall of the Iron Curtain. I was in Paraguay when that was going on. And my nuncio, Archbishop Georg Zur, was from East Germany. And to see through his eyes as those various nations became free was really an incredible revelation about what was happening. I could perceive it from my own standpoint, but to see it through someone who had actually lived that oppression, who was not able to go home because his diocese was in East Germany, it was really something very, very incredible. It brought home what those events meant. And it was, in a very real sense, a recommitment to those values, those human values that are so important in building a society that is just and that is fair. And it is good to remember that we're all part of that melting pot. I was also thinking as the afternoon was moving on about my own grandparents who came to Cleveland from New York, but initially from Italy, and built a restaurant in Independence. And that's really, that was where the family was centered until it was sold in 1942. So it was sold a long time ago, but that's where my parents met. And that's was really what these Italians from Piemonte decided to do when they came to the United States to make a new life. I never met either of my grandparents, but I'm sure they would be very pleased to know of this honor being given. I think also, to quote, again, to recall something that Senator Dolan said, it is very important. Anytime you're given a recognition, it is also an invitation to continue the work that's being done to support those values and those virtues that are a part of the United States. He mentioned our common alma mater, Boston College, and I was wondering if this makes us double eagles or not. Usually means you graduate from 2 schools at Boston College. However, the motto of Boston College, Aie Eristamenos, ever to excel, is certainly an invitation that we could perhaps share with everyone this afternoon. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to come home and to share in really the greatness that has made Cleveland the city that contributes the way it does, and also to recommit myself to the values that this organization stands for, and certainly to continue to foster the freedoms that we are guaranteed. And one final story. Several years ago at a bishops' conference meeting in Baltimore, we had the opening mass at the Basilica. And as we were coming out, there was someone shouting against something that the bishops stood for, or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was. But what I do remember is that one of my auxiliary bishops came up to me, and he's of Irish descent, and he said, "And our boys are dying on the front lines so that they have the freedom to do this." And I thought, how true that is. How true that is. And so I'm very grateful to serve the men and women who put their lives on the line so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy. Thank you very much.